Good morning, children. Welcome to session 24, Social Studies. We have already learnt about the expansion of British power in India in the previous lesson. Later, the British Parliament passed several laws to serve as guidelines for better management of the company matters in India as well as in England. Let's learn about some of the important acts which were passed by the British Parliament that formed its administrative framework in India. So you will open the book. Let's discover history. Lesson number 3, Administrative Framework and Economic Policies of the British. Under that, we will be learning about the administrative framework of the British. That is about the important acts and also about the administrative transformations in today's session. So first let's learn about the administrative framework of the British. Here to control the East India Company, British Parliament passed 3 important acts. The first one is the Regulating Act of 1773. Second one is the Pitt's India Act of 1784. And the third one is the Charter Act of 1786. So first let's learn about the Regulating Act of 1773. We all know that East India Company got monopoly to trade with India and Eastern countries, right? Here, the main feature is the Regulating Act of 1773 was passed by the British Parliament to control the territories of the East India Company, majorly in Bengal. This act was passed due to the misgovernment by the British East India government that introduced a situation of bankruptcy and the government had to interfere with the affairs of the company. This act permitted company to retain territorial possessions in India, but sought to regulate the activities and functioning of the company. It did not take over power completely, hence called regulating. The British divided India into 3 territories called presidencies, which were named Bengal Presidency, Madras Presidency and Bombay Presidency. The Act provided for the appointment of a Governor General along with 4 councillors in the Presidency of Port William at Calcutta, jointly called the Governor General in Council. As per this, Warren Hastings was appointed as the first Governor General of India. Here the Governor General managed the affairs of Bengal as well as oversaw the governors of Madras and Bombay. Hence it can be said that the governors of Madras and Bombay were subordinate to the Governor General. According to the Regulating Act, the position of the Governor General became weak because the council was given the supreme power. So what happened here, whenever the Governor General wanted to start a decision-making process, the council started overruling the Governor General's decision. So the Regulating Act came to an end. Because of the failure of the Regulating Act, the British Parliament introduced a new act called the Pitt's India Act in the year of 1784. According to the Pitt's India Act of 1784, a board of control consisting of 6 members was set up, and the Act gave complete powers over the civil, military and revenue matters of the company to the board. The Act laid down a common outline for the functioning of the government, and the Government of India functioned under this Act till 1857. And the third act which was passed by the British Parliament was the Charter Act of 1786. According to this act, the Governor General was given the authority to annul his council under particular circumstances. Furthermore, he was also appointed Commander-in-Chief of the British forces in India. The officials of the East India Company became corrupt after they got administrative powers. They started harassing native weavers and artisans, merchants and zamindars. And also they took bribes from the Indian rulers and were engaged in illicit private trade. As a result, they became rich before they retired to England. So, by 1784, the British government took over the administration of India from the East India Company. If there was no law and order, the British traders would not be able to sell their goods in various parts of the country. Hence, the British government started transforming their administrative system through the civil service, the army, and the police. Civil service. Lord Cornwallis was a Governor General of India between the year of 1786 to 1793. During that time, he introduced the civil service in India. So, he prescribed the guidelines against private trade and taking of bribes by officials. He increased the salaries of the company servants. At that time, civil service of the East India Company was the highest paid service in the world. He instructed that promotion in the civil service would be based on seniority and would be autonomous. It was stated in the year of 1793 that all higher posts in the administration where the salary was more than $500 per annum would be held by the British, which means Indians were completely excluded from the higher posts in the administration. In the year of 1853, the Charter Act was passed, which opened competition for recruitment to services through a competitive examination. Next one is the army. The army executed three key responsibilities. Firstly, it subjugated the Indian states. Secondly, it safeguarded the British Empire in India from foreign foes. Thirdly, it protected the British reign from the chronic danger of internal rebellion. Next one is police. The police structure was shaped by Lord Cornwallis. The police was controlled by a district judge, and each district was divided into smaller areas of around 20 square miles. Each area had a thana, which means police station, and the thana was headed by a daroga, which means an Indian policeman. The post of the district superintendent of police was created to head the police organization in a district. The duties of the police in the villages were performed by village watchmen. The police was successful in bringing down crimes such as robbery. Next one is the judicial transformations. Before the coming of the British, justice was delivered on the basis of traditional laws such as Shastras for Hindus and Sharia for Muslims. So the British decided to modernize the judicial systems of the country. The judicial system was put forward by Warren Hastings and developed by Lord Cornwallis. Faujdari Adalat, which means criminal court, and Diwani Adalat, which means civil court, were set up in each district. Both these courts were under the British. There were a number of subordinate courts which were under Indian judges known as Munsifs and Amins. In 1831, William Bentinck, Governor General of India, ended the provincial courts of appeal, and their work was carried out by the district judges and the collectors. He also appointed Indians as deputy magistrates and subordinate judges. High courts were set up at Calcutta, Madras, and Bombay. So children, this is the end of our session. In this session, we have learnt about the administrative framework of the British. Under that, three important acts. They are the Regulating Act of 1773, the Pitt's India Act of 1784, and the Charter Act of 1786. And also about administrative transformations and judicial transformations.